a second-round pick in the 2007 NFL Draft. John Beck joins us now on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. John, welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I heard that it was your anniversary yesterday. Happy anniversary.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Secondly, what is it like for a player who was taken in the NFL Draft the next few days right after that news happens?
It actually starts as soon as the news happens. It's a whirlwind. I can remember, I don't even remember what picks happened after me, because as soon as I got picked, you're on the phone with the general manager, the head coach, some of the coaches, and then they put you over to the person who starts booking a flight for you to leave immediately, because they have to fly you out to get you there for all like kind of a media blitz. So I was drafted, I think, early afternoon, and maybe a couple hours later, I was on a flight. My agent drove me up to Salt Lake. I was already on a flight, got in. I took the red eye, got in the morning. They took me to a hotel, and I had a couple hours of sleep, and then they took me over to the facility, and it was meet everybody in person that I hadn't met already. And then they had this huge media thing where you basically just do the rounds with all the TV stations, radio stations. They have you go up. Ted Ginn was a first-round pick the same day, so they had Ted and myself do an interview, like interviews at the facility where you hold up the jerseys, all that stuff, and it's just whirlwind. You go to the Dolphin Fan Fest that they have for the draft the next day, and you're there, and you're answering questions. And then you go back to the coaches, and they basically give you a playbook and say, we'll see you in a week at camp. And then, boom, you're back on a plane sitting at your house going like, I can't believe all that just happened. And I'm a Dolphin now. That's crazy.
Yeah, needless to say, a guy like Jamal Williams is probably tired right about now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Same thing. He's probably going through everything the exact same way. And, you know, it's funny because people are already starting to recognize him on his flights to and from Green Bay. I guarantee it. I can remember being on a flight that night and people being like, wait, didn't we just draft you? Yeah, yep, you know, and everybody's giving you congratulations, excited to see you play, all that stuff. So, I mean, you wait all of this time, training, interviews with coaches, combine, you go through that whole process wondering what it's going to be like, where you're going to go, and then all of a sudden in a flash, you find out where you're going and your life starts there.
We're talking about how important it is to get picks into the NFL draft and multiple ones. We shared in the previous segment about how BYU, since 2006, has only had one draft with multiple picks. How important is it to have multiple players drafted into the NFL for BYU in a given draft?
I mean, I think it's a huge recruiting thing. You know, you want to be a program that's known for getting guys in the NFL. I think BYU is a program that's known for guys being in the NFL. They've had a lot of guys that have done well in the NFL, and I think BYU is a place that also people know that, hey, even if we don't get drafted, BYU sends a lot of, you know, free agents to the NFL. I think every year that I've followed BYU, I know my year, they always have a handful of guys that go on and usually catch on for a few years as free agents. So I think there's a lot of respect for BYU, but I think as a recruiting tool, because nowadays everybody's in fast forward with their thinking. Everybody in high school is thinking about, what do I have to do so I can get to the NFL? You know, I think it's rare nowadays to find guys that are just focusing on college, focusing on the next step. Everybody's thinking 4, 5, and 6 steps ahead. So from a recruiting standpoint, I know that that's a big deal for the young guys, that it's more than just playing college football to them. It's, I have a dream to go to the NFL, and they're trying to pick a place that they believe will give them an opportunity to fulfill their dream of being drafted.
How much do you feel like this will change with Kalani Sitake in charge at BYU?
Well, I mean, I know those guys on that staff. I know that for them, I think that they want players, the people that they're recruiting, to know, hey, we want you to go to the NFL. You know, we want you to be able to fulfill your dreams by coming to BYU. And I'm not saying the coaches before weren't like that. I think every coach recognizes, you know, but I think that a little bit of an emphasis, which I know that they're doing, partly because I think Kalani's been other programs where he saw how big of a emphasis it was in the recruiting process, in the way you communicate with the kids coming in. And I think that he understands that, so he's okay with saying, yeah, we want to get you to the NFL. And that excites everybody. You know, if you're some young kid that's dreamed of it and some coach is saying, hey, I want to do what I can to help you get there, that matters. And, you know, you see that and you want to go play for somebody that promotes you that way.
And you look at what Utah did with 8 picks, several of those from the defensive side of the ball, where Kalani Sitake got them to Utah and helped in that process. I certainly think that could be the case at BYU. But what position do you think is the most likely the next couple of years under Kalani Sitake to be the most drafted position from BYU? What do you think?
Listen, because I'm a quarterback, it'd be nice to just be like, look, let's get, QBU continuing. Let's get those guys that come in and develop and, have opportunities to go play, because I enjoy watching the QB play, and I follow always the BYU games, because not only am I interested in the school and cheering for my alma mater, but I care about how well the BYU quarterback does. I want to see the young guys there do well, especially because a lot of the guys that have come in after me have just been great guys. I get to know them. I've watched them work. I've watched them overcome adversity. I especially like it that we have had a lot of return missionaries. And to me, BYU is probably the only place, right, like that has this continual, you have a return missionary that comes in and plays quarterback. And I know how difficult that process is of leaving football for a couple years and then getting back into it. And I want to see those guys have success, because I know the challenges. I know that the effort that it takes to be able to get back and compete at a high level at that position after you've left it for a while.
John Beck with us on BYU Sports Nation, 2007 NFL draftee to the Miami Dolphins. We talked about Jamal Williams going to Green Bay in the 4th round. We both feel like it is a fantastic fit. In fact, I don't know anybody that has any credibility in an NFL fashion that doesn't think Jamal in Green Bay is a good fit. What do you think, John?
No, I think it's going to be a great fit for him. I have read some stuff where I saw that they released a running back, and anytime you see them bring in a couple guys who they draft at a position, that's kind of telling you, hey, this position's open. We anticipate somebody contributing, and most likely contributing quickly. And, I was actually texting Taysom, and I said, what a cool opportunity that you get to go to camp with your teammates, with somebody that you have spent a handful of years playing with. And, Taylor, Green Bay, they've been a winning franchise. And I always tell people, look, the better chances of having draft picks succeed, the better chances of getting on a team and having some success as a free agent is when you get picked up by the teams that have success. It just, for some reason, it just works that way. You have so much turnover on the teams that struggle, and they continue to have turnover. And the teams that do well, usually you see them develop young players. And then even if those players don't stay with the team, they usually go somewhere else and do well, because good teams just have a good way of developing players.
The Packers, Jamal Williams and Taysom Hill, which it's crazy. They were together in life, and they continue, in death, into the NFL or whatever. What will it take for Taysom Hill to stick with the Packers?
Well, I read something recently where they said that there was rumors that the Packers were possibly trading during the draft, kind of like trying to seek out phone calls for their number 2, their backup. So that is an indicator that it's not that they dislike the backup, but it's that behind Aaron, they are leaving things open. And I know that the Packers were highly interested for a while in Taysom and have shown interest in him long, for a while. So that's a good sign. Like I said, being in a place where they do a good job of developing players. If you go look at the Packers' history, they've always kept a few quarterbacks, have quarterbacks on practice squad, quarterbacks behind Aaron that have developed, and they give them time to develop. So I think, being at a place where also there's been consistency offensively, Mike McCarthy's been the play caller there for a long time. So you're going to have a lot of guys that have been in that system a long time. And anytime a player's been in a system for a long time, they know the nuances so well that when they perform, you learn so much from them. Anytime I was around a quarterback that had been in a system for a long time, I was always able to pick up so much more from him than somebody that had maybe only spent a year or two in a system. To be able to watch somebody like Aaron daily, that's just going to be a big help for Taysom in his development.
John, you work closely with a handful of quarterbacks pretty much year-round. What do you feel like Taysom Hill has to do to become an NFL-style and successful quarterback?
Well, one of Taysom's biggest assets was his running ability. And we all, kind of every time he took off with the ball, you kind of said, oh, could this be a big play? Could this be a 20 or 30-yard run, right? In the NFL, I know that he's extremely fast, but, I've seen guys, Michael Vick, that were lightning fast, and you don't always get to use that. You have to be able to go back in the pocket, go through your progressions, and now I've seen Taysom do that a lot. and I saw him progress. I mean, we all, I think, probably feel the same way. Watching that Nebraska game a couple years ago and seeing the way that he was playing, I saw a big jump. And then we all hoped that could continue, and then you find out he has the injury. He's got to come back from the injury, and then all of a sudden the offense changes on him. Him having to change offenses will be a benefit for him going forward, but an area that he will constantly work on is finding success on third down from the pocket and going through your progressions, knowing when to take chances, knowing coverage identification, and then having that kind of alter your decision-making process as you go through your progression. Those are areas that not just Taysom, every quarterback has to go through, but I know that, that's probably an area where Taysom himself knows this is something as I jump up levels, this is where I can improve.
That's where you didn't really get to show your stuff in the NFL, right? Your speed out of the pocket, John. That was you didn't
Listen,
flex that.
That's something that I wasn't really ever caring to show. Look, I'm no 4'4"
you didn't flex
guy.
that muscle.
Like, I'm no 4'4" guy. So I was never caring. And listen, one of the differences in the NFL, you get hit hard in college, man, you get hit really hard in the NFL.
John Beck with this.
I have no idea what that is.
Jerem's trying to imagine that right now.
I'm like, ow, I hurt thinking about that.
John Beck with us on BYU Sports Nation. Let's finish with this. What other BYU players do you feel like are in a good position as undrafted free agents? Harvey Longy, Kai Nakua, Andrew Idy, Michael Davis. I mean, there are a lot of guys. Who do you feel like is in a good spot?
I feel like anybody that goes to the Patriots, you're in a pretty good spot because same thing with development, right? And then it's crazy, guys, how certain teams just somehow develop players. You go look at teams, and it's like their 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks, they only spend a couple years with the team and they're gone. And then you go to these other places, and it's like their 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round picks are contributing and playing great. And then all of a sudden their undrafted free agents are contributing. And you're like, wait a second, how come these places can get so much value out of these players? And then it looks like the other places want to point the finger and just say, yeah, this player's not panning out. And it's crazy how that works. I mean, you see it, right? So the Detroit Lions are saying, you know what, we gave Kyle Van Noy his chance. It didn't really work out for us. Let's get some value for him. And the New England Patriots go, hey, great, bring him to us, and we'll get him going. And then he gets to be out on the field playing in a Super Bowl, and now the Patriots are saying, gosh, this guy can be a contributor for us for years. And I don't know what it is, but you see that all the time. So, the first one in my head, obviously, was when I see the Patriots. But again, I think Jamal and Taysom are going to have great opportunities at the Packers. I know people that have played in the Packers organization. I think the way it's ran is first class. I think that they get a lot out of their players. And, all the best to all the rest of the BYU guys that have gone places. The NFL is a crazy business. You just never know the situation you land in. You don't know how things mesh with the coaches, how the system's going to do. You don't know the players that are around you, who's going to get injured, and then when your opportunity is going to come, how well prepared you're going to be for it. All those things play into it.
John, it's always great to talk to you. I know that you and your 4.4 speed need to get back to work in Southern California, so we'll let you speed off to that.
All right, guys.
Thanks, John.